And we're back. Good evening. Underground World News Live. This May 2nd, 2025. Let's get the mic check out the gate. Much love, Eon, Meat Puppet, Gary, Mary, Joe, Bill, Minx, George, Dark Wolf, Hoodie Ross. Much love to all the mods, Daily Survival, everybody that shares the stream. S-Bird, Wayne the Pain with us, Raymond, Saturday Morning Malaysia. Yeah, you're definitely ahead of us there. Ed, E-Face, D. White, Boomer, Silver Sailor. It's good talking with you on the live stream earlier on X. Welcome, Deanne, Yellow, Bones, Kenny G. It's good to see everybody, man. Hope you're all doing good. Ava, Money Mike. Hope everybody's doing the best they can. Let's put it that way. I know sometimes things are hard out there. Thank you for all the feedback, everyone. If you've got anything you want to get to me during the stream, dabu7@yahoo.com is the email, or you can @ me there in the chat. Make sure you're following on X as well. I've had a lot of people here as of late telling me that they've been unsubscribed. All kinds of madness, never getting any of my notifications, people having to come to my channel, which isn't new. If you are new to the channel, you might want to come and check out the channel daily throughout the week. Just check in once a day. You may be surprised at what you see. I hear that all the time. And it's been just kind of overwhelming here as of late. I don't know if there's a campaign or what, but a lot of people, and it even happened to D. White, one of our mods, who said that they had been unsubscribed, but I've been getting it a lot from you guys. It's part of the campaign, man. Out there against the truth is the only way I can put it. But just looking to hold down a solid stream. Hopefully we can do that here tonight, God willing. Going to start off here with, thank you, Flip, with some information pertaining to some earthquake activity and some underwater volcano activity. And much love, D. White, for sending in information. And on this, what we got going on here, let's take a look. We've got a big quake that hit down here in the Drake Passage. Now, on my X, I've got a post where you could see the water pulled back. That's a sure sign, most of the time, you've got a tsunami incoming. Now, that was in Chile. Chile, right here on the coast. I want to remind everybody right now, right at the gate, when it comes to this area, right up here in the cut, in the bend, northern Chile, where this little bit of swarm is, right here, we're expecting a massive quake. It's long overdue. The geologist and scientist said that all of the things are there for that to happen. So I'm really watching this area. Last time I put an alert out on that spot, it was like very shortly, the next day or 2 days, a decent one hit there. It's sometimes a good thing to see swarming because it lets energy out. But when you see certain activity, man, it's kind of indicative of saying, hey, a big one could hit. Now, this is kind of surprising here. Anything can happen down here in these areas. I'm going to show you some of the fault lines, how they run across the map here. But this one, a magnitude 7.5 quake, Drake Passage. There was tsunami alerts and warnings set off, but there really wasn't a whole lot it could affect down here. One of the closest cities here seemingly wasn't too affected by it. Of course, any tsunami waves coming in would have been broken by these islands, but the water did recede and pull back in Chile. So people were like, whoa, like, what's going on? Well, it did something out there. For the water to pull back that much, I'm surprised the tsunami did not come in up here in Chile. Um, but I guess whatever the main part of the event was here, it just pulled it back off the coast and it gradually came back in, up all the way up here along the coast. So back out for a second here. We're going to go up. Well, let me point out also we've got activity in the serpent heads. And when I was talking about the lines going around the planet, these fault lines, you've got certain places that are just, if there's going to be an earthquake out here in the ocean, in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, anywhere, I'd put my money on right here on one of these lines that you can actually see. Okay? Now, you've got certain areas here that these lines stand out big time. You've got one right here. This is what they call the serpent heads down here. You can see it looks like two serpent heads, which is pretty freaking interesting if you ask me. But in the mouth of the serpent down here, and it literally has little islands like perfect as teeth, if you zoom in, that are dotted, perfect. All the way around, this sees some action. And then you have the mid-Atlantic ridge right here that comes up that always sees action. Again, if you're going to see any big earthquake out here, it's going to be on this line for the most part, almost all the time. It goes on up, it cuts over here, it starts to come up and around right here. Where's the next earthquake? Right? Where's the next one? Where do we find the very next one in the Atlantic Ocean? On this ridge. Okay, so if anything is going to affect the East Coast coming from this region, it's going to more than likely come from this mid-Atlantic ridge or the island chains that sit out here, La Palma, Canary Islands, because they're volcanic. And in the past, parts of these islands have basically give way. And they've went into the ocean. They've caused tsunamis themselves. They say that it can happen again. You've got to go watch for those things. But the most active area out there is that fault line. And look, it runs right on up to Iceland. And you'll often see the activity will follow this line right on up into Iceland. You got all that magma on the move underground. New Madrid fault getting hit with small activity. 2.6, close to Marston, Missouri. Swing it out here, though, to California. We have 3.7 here. That's only a kilometer north of the geysers. That region, I'm always watching as well because, I mean, it's the geysers. There's a lot of pressure coming up out of the earth. And whenever you start to see quakes in that region, you never know what you're going to get. If you guys feel any of this quake activity, let me know. North of Santa Rosa there. Now, I told you about an underwater volcano that sits off the coast. It's the axial seamount. It sits out here off the Juan de Fuca, off this cut, about 300 miles or so off the coast of Oregon. This axial seamount is an underwater volcano, basically. It slightly erupted back in 2015, but they say that if it erupts big time, it could cause some problems. They say a normal eruption coming from it could be minimal and nothing big happens. Like you could be out in the water, an eruption happens, and like tsunami's not going to wipe you out. But a monster eruption happens. The interaction of water and lava and magma and all that itself makes it that much more explosive. So if it was to come up out of the ocean, it would be rather explosive. Again, you've got hot magma hitting the cool water, and it just adds to the explosion. They are saying it's going to erupt this year, without a doubt. It's showing signs, activity out there of an eruption. They don't know exactly when, but they say before the year's up, expect an eruption from the axial seamount. Crawls Alaska said a 4.7 north of Copper Landing, Alaska woke me up 2 nights ago. Interesting. Thank you for the feedback. I like getting that local feedback from people. Keeps us in the loop of what's going on. So, that's a look at quakes, volcanoes, things of that nature. We're going to get the cracking here into some of the other news. Now, you wonder where people are going. They're definitely not going to New York in large numbers. It's just not happening. We've talked about numbers in the past from different places like California. There was no secret that there was an exodus of people out of California at a point. We saw Elon and Rogan and a bunch of people leave and businesses leave and go to Texas, set up shop because of all the politics and everything that was going on. Don't get me wrong, California, beautiful in its own right, but when it comes to the politics, it's like wrecking it, it seems. And that's not just there. It's all over the place. If there's bad policies in place, it can ruin things. 125,000 people fled New York just for Florida alone in the past 5 years, taking with them $14 billion. So some of the millionaires, others, just everyday people, just wanting to get out of NYC. What I always say is like, just don't bring it with you, right? Like if people are in paradise or in a peaceful place, like, and you're coming from a hectic place, like, don't bring that with you. Like, all right, leave it behind. Leave them troubles behind there, because, just saying, nobody else wants a good vibe in place offset by people that come in with bad energy. Just saying, it's not just Florida, it's anywhere out there. People are moving all around. They will continue to do so. Florida will continue to be a hot spot, I think, for whoever. Only thing I don't like about Florida is how low it sits down there. I wish there was some mountains down in Florida. That would set it off, and that would make it great. You just don't have that there. But surrounded by ocean. Now, let's jump into the tariffs. We've got Medvedev of China. He is the former Russian president, saying that Beijing can basically survive this war with the United States, this tariff war, economic war. They have the means to do so. He's a pretty brash individual. He pops off with some statements I've seen over the years that are pretty... He's pretty hard-nosed from his position and will say just about anything. Like here, he's saying that they are all in a really bad position. They're facing the need to bow down in a ritual known as kiss my ass. These are the comments that comes out of this guy. But he doesn't hold back neither in saying that Russia will do this, they'll do that. Anymore, the world's a stage to me. The world is a stage. I mean, they come out tomorrow, next week, and they could say, we worked out this huge deal with Russia, and change all this stuff. Or we could be going to World War III because they couldn't get a peace deal done or whatever. And I'm gonna circle back around to that when we jump into the war stuff. But I thought his comments here were worth mentioning. That starting a tariff battle with China is not wise. They're going to outlast. And he points out that you can tell that it was weak because Trump immediately stopped all of his tariffs on all these other countries and just had to go head-to-head with China. And then even with that, they're talking different things here. Kick it on to the next one. Oh, and let me do this. Let me update with a couple breaking updates here. Right before we went live here tonight, I noticed that we had a shooting taking place at Spartan College. This is in Inglewood, California. Police were sweeping buildings. I saw somebody in the chat say something had to do with the security guard. If you guys have any information on this, let me know, and I'll get it out there. But they said multiple people were injured in that event, Spartan College. They're sweeping buildings, and I don't know if that's ongoing or not, but it was labeled an active shooter situation, Inglewood, California. Again, if you guys got anything on that, let me know. And if you do respond, at me in the comments at Tapu77, so I know you're responding to me and all that. Yeah, so hopefully no one dies out of that situation. And it's over at this point. It'd be a long situation at this point if it was still ongoing. So, yeah. Get updates on that. I'll keep my eye there on the chat. But I also got another one here real quick on Ozempic. Yeah, they might have got some of y'all's attention. Some of you may be taking Ozempic, may know someone next to you or around you that has taken it, thinking about it. Look, man, I'm hearing nothing but bad news out of all this stuff. In the end, it's kind of like this: get out and get active, get some exercise, hit the gym, do some of these things. Really, if you want to burn off some weight, like try to get active before just sticking yourself with this stuff. Ozempic, listen to this. It's putting 70 people a day into the hospital at least, just here in America. So, thank you, C2C, saying 2 females shot. All right, and TN saying supposedly they have surrounded the suspect in Inglewood, but he's not in custody. Thank you for those updates, guys. Much love, Barbie in Ohio. Everybody out there. So, again, the Ozempic thing, think twice. You're hearing people taking it, all this. Yeah, it's bad stuff. Just saying, man, all this super unhealthy stuff. Like make an attempt to get active and get out and walk and do something before you just do this, man. Because people are paying the price. Now, it's got some weird side effects, all right? People are getting like nervous trembling and all the stuff that's coming with it that they can't explain. People are getting hot flashes, like on and off, that's going on, and people are getting affected differently here. Tingling, things of that nature, heart palpitations, all types of stuff they're trying to connect to this, man. Like, I don't even know what's in it. Maybe somebody should look at the ingredients and all this other stuff. Oh, Beach Girl says my husband's on Ozempic. Look, I pray for him. Hope he doesn't have any bad repercussions or any side effects or anything like that from it. It causes diabetes, Raymond says in there. If you were talking about that. Just looking at the chat here as well. Feels good to have a chat going thus far. Stream with no issues. All right, so let's jump into the trade war. Bird flu is trending. Not freaking good. Legal silent elect. Look, if there's like some major headlines or something floating out there ever on that, like let me know. What's it trending on? We gotta know here because that's the last thing we want to see. They kick H5N1 off, the lockdowns, everything with it's gonna be the most horrific thing we've ever seen in our life, if you ask me. So, let's jump to this whole thing about the trade war in China, because this right here is getting overlooked by a ton of people. Some people are like, yeah, whatever, this and that. But when they turn around, they get to the store, like, oh, crap. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, I've already done it. I put out a video on this. I put a warning out, shot across the bow. It's only going to get worse as the days go by. We are actually coming up on the week that closes out this whole thing. And what I mean by that is this whole thing started, this trade war between China in Russia or in the United States on the 10th of this past month. It takes roughly 30 days to get across that ocean from China to the U.S. So it will be that window, it's going to kick in, and they're expecting that a lot of the ports are going to be empty. They're already seeing it. No boats coming in. You can go over to these tracking sites, Naval Tracker and all this other stuff, and you can look and you can see that there's no boats coming in. This in turn means people are getting laid off. This means warehouse workers are going to be getting laid off, and businesses that they're warning about this, that heavily depend on especially Chinese goods are about to get shut down. They're not going to, if they don't have another choice, if they haven't tried to figure out another place to get their goods, they're about to get hammered. So we have U.S. firms now trying to beg Trump and tell Trump, like, look, give us 60 days and we're out of China. This isn't good for China and Chinese business over there, because all the American businesses that are in there are pulling out and that they're coming back home. That's the whole point. That's the whole move that Trump's been trying to make here, is to bring everybody back to the United States or into it so they can pay American taxes, okay, but not have to pay any high tariffs if they come in. This has backfired in some ways. This all really comes down to China, how they respond to this whole thing. I'm going to be honest. We will be hurt without the Chinese economy. Chinese economy will be hurt without us. We go hand in hand. It just is the way that it is, man. We've given life to the Chinese throughout the past couple decades. I've reported on it. I've shown it. The deal set up. The Rothschild control in there since Mao. We depend heavily on each other, back and forth. But they're trying to set the world up to where it's a multipolar world order, so to speak, where there's multiple different powers in control here. It's not just going to be the U.S. and the U.S. dollar. Why is that? Because they want the whole world to fall under the umbrella of the same way of thinking and the same way of operating, which is going to be on a digital scale, which is why every country is pushing the CBDC in a different way. This is where they're taking all this. And we've known this. But, China's no different. Russia's no different. They're in on the whole thing, okay? That's what people need to see. It's not like it's not like they're not. Right? They were in the whole thing of COVID, the whole locking it down and fooling the world. They sure were every bit of the way. They even were pushing heavy propaganda out of China in the beginning, saying hundreds of thousands of people's cell phones are missing or not responding, and that there's massive plumes of smoke. It seems like they're incinerating bodies in mass. They were putting these stories out. They were showing people saying they were dropping dead, coming out of there all over. Do you forget? Do you remember? That was all hoax. That never happened. It wasn't even true. It was just propaganda before it really hit hard here to scare the crap out of everybody. And it did. But when it really happens, it's going to be done. I fear it because it's on the table. And the fact that Gates was in Mar-a-Lago with Trump and he was not arrested, they were talking about all this, it just scared the living daylights out of anyone out there that understands what's going on. Because the criminals didn't get arrested. They actually went in there and they plotted more. Which only means one thing. Mr. Warp Speed's got more coming. I told you, it's all going to be on his watch. And they've got the spell on his base, like black magic, where they're just sitting there taking it all. It's taking every bit of it. And it's going to be to the detriment of this whole entire country. It was the plan the whole time. And until people snap out of it and realize what's going on, it's going to continue down this path. But I see this accelerating. If this war goes hot with China, the trade war economic stuff is going to go to a parabolic level. A level almost unimaginable, like that we've never seen in our lifetime. What's about to happen next week is store shelves in many different places are going to start to go empty. Okay? I'm telling you right now, people are lined up around stores right now tonight getting supplies. Maybe you're sleeping on this, slipping on it. It ain't happening in your area. But I'm telling you, there are places in social media that I've done seen. People are lined up around the corner in these places to get goods. Like, and the comment the workers are making is that they haven't seen nothing like this since COVID. I mean, you would think that they just announced bird flu or something. But no, this has to do with the trade war, the tariffs, and what's hitting the ports and what's coming in. I've warned you. I'm going to have to put out another video, an updated video. Walmart filling the fire. Like, you either kind of fall in line with what Trump's doing here, especially at home, or you're done. Yeah, everything has rebounded up, which is good. For the moment, but that's just how everything goes. It's always up and down, up and down, up and down. And as I said before, what they've been doing is they're running up to a high, but then they'll have a pullback and they'll take a certain percentage, they'll run it back up and then they'll pull back and then they'll run it back up and a pullback. That's what we're seeing right now. A lot of the rich guys are sitting on the sidelines in cash. Warren Buffett, Jamie Dimon, a whole bunch of them. That's an ominous sign, if you ask me. Look around the room, you see, what's all the richest dudes doing right now? What are they buying? Well, they're not buying nothing. What do you mean they're not buying nothing? You know, they're all just sitting there with their stacks of cash. Why would they be doing that? I don't know, something don't seem right. Yeah, something's about to go down. Pretty obvious from here. Yep. So, that's why I keep telling all y'all, if these guys are afraid to touch the market, I wouldn't have nothing in a 401k. And look, I've had people respond to me and tell me, well, if I take my 401k out, I can't draw off of it and I'm done. I'm like, I'm screwed. Well, not necessarily. If you're old enough and you're not going to get penalized, you can take it out. You can take out the same amount to live off of every month. It's pretty simple. Right, you're not making any money off of anything from there, but this is how I see it. It's about to get taken. Okay, and when it gets taken, you can't draw off of it anyway. You see? So in hindsight, the best thing to do would be able to get what you can now for it, set it your nest egg to the side, in home, in your own investment, in your safe, whatever, and continue surviving off of the amount that you need per month versus leaving the whole bag sit there to get taken. It's about to happen. It's what I call the great taking. It's part of the big great reset that's about to happen. It's underway. It's in motion. All these little things add to it. All right, look back what Trump did. If you guys missed it, Trump said, we're done with pennies. That's right. We're not making pennies no more. They're taking the literal physical money out of circulation. They're just not even making it no more. Starts with pennies, then nickels, and all the rest because they're all overpriced in those terms. And they got a point when they say that. So it's an advantage for them when in this situation. When they say, well, a penny costs 5 times as much to make than it's even worth. Well, they have points for that. When copper's going through the roof and all these other metals, even the cheaper metals that they were making the coinage out of, it's still going up. All of it's going up. I expect to see companies raise prices on certain goods here throughout the summer, even if it is American made. Certain items are just going to be harder to get. There's no doubt about it. Peter Schiff says that the bounce that you're seeing right now in the market, because some are saying it just came back, it rallied up. He says that this is a bear market rally. It's indicative of a dump off the other end. He says we'll see where this plays out, but he gives notice the trend. Notice how the market picks back up in what has been on a tear for years on end. Gold. This guy's the gold bug. Gold. Gold, gold, gold. Well, all of a sudden, gold, for the first time that I can report, I don't know how long, it has a nice pullback. There's a reason for it. I'm about to tell you. This pullback is where you get in. You look for these entries. This thing ain't slowing down. It ain't coming downhill. And even if it does, you seed back in. Gold and silver and these things, these are what you buy the dip no matter what in these instances. Because it's just going to go astronomical. We know that it's going to. And tax-free in a lot of places. That's key. This is just a bear market bounce, okay? It's kind of like a head and shoulders design. Like, just as an example. That you can see kind of forming. And you know that on the other end of it, it's very bearish. And that there's probably going to be more downside. And then when you couple that with everything that we're seeing coming up here ahead, supply chain getting rocked and all this other stuff, this ain't good. Next couple weeks, next week or so is going to be very interesting. It just is going to be to me. Very, very interesting. When people start to kick out on social media more and more, that there's long lines, empty shelves, all this stuff, there's always a point where it like takes off. Just one given day. It could be tomorrow. Who knows? And everyone gets it. Everyone's shocked all of a sudden. Like it goes through social media. Everyone's starting to flip out. Everyone's starting to run to the store. And then they finally see that, look, it's here. You know, like, if Trump tried to tell everybody, like, bear with him. Well, how much is his base going to accept here? How much are they going to take? The rest of the country already pissed off at where we're sitting. But look, I'll be honest, you can't blame Trump for all this. We're still feeling the effects of everything Biden did and all that before. In my opinion, in terms of long-term economic stuff, you don't get out of those woods for like a year or two. But the tariff war is all Trump. He brought that on himself, and I believe he brought it on to bring down the House of Cards. It's designed to do it. He's even said it. The man said it himself. So when a guy comes and says, yeah, I was sent to reset the whole thing. Well, there you go. He said it, you know, so here we go with gold. What's gold do? Gold breaks down because China hits the sell button. Why would they do that? Well, they could be repositioning. I mean, they're known to have hoards of gold. I mean, more than anyone. But they sell some. Some have speculated that it could be because the supply of what they got is not that great. There could be something going on there with the supply chain and whatever they're trying to off, like a low-grade gold. That they could be repositioning into other things. And you've seen, everyone just said, the market just rose. So people are jumping out of gold, taking some profits, what they're doing. They're putting their money into other places. And you'll see the stock market bump up. You'll see Bitcoin bump up, which it did. This is where the money's going. It's flowing into these other places. But gold is not by any means coming down. You should always know, like, if they come out tomorrow and they're like, look, we're mandating that gold's $1,000 an ounce. I'm like, I'd buy it up. Curious Georgia in the house. I always say, if you can get your hands on gold and silver, do it. but cash is king at this point, or something to barter. Over the years, there's a lot of debate, a lot of discussion over like what should somebody do, like what should you stock up on? Well, if you back it up and you want to honestly approach this, everybody's different. Everybody's different in this aspect. I would start with your neighbors or wherever you're going to barter, right? If you're going to barter down at the local corner market or something, get to know those people, see what they need, see what they grow, see what they offer. Have a list already of what you need. What do you and your family like to eat? Certain goods, certain fruits, vegetables, things like that. Obviously, hopefully, non-GMO. So if you want to buy organic, you got to be buying from people that are growing organic to begin with. You need to know these things. Or you're just going to get stuck with whatever. In a survival situation, most people are going to eat any food that gets put in front of them. But again, it may be GMO'd. It would be wise to think about these things now. This is springtime. Perfect time to bust out the green thumb and to start growing. Tomatoes, potatoes, carrots, anything going out there. Corn, anything. Get the chickens going. It is that time. It's the best way to mitigate the damage here. If the shelves are empty or prices are through the roof, then to have a few chickens laying eggs is like crucial. Now, I've said this before, and here's some cold realities to this. On a daily life, when the world's fine, you're going to want to go out and buy some feed for your chickens and get like we did, the best type of feed to feed them and everything else. So the shells and the eggs are really good. And it's just everything's really good and organic, right? You end up spending more money on the feed and all that stuff than you do even a dozen or whatever eggs at the store. Okay? These are the realities. People want to say, oh yeah, do this, do that. Like, I lived the life. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, like, other people just talk crap out here. Okay? About going off grid, doing that. I live off grid. I'm off grid. Okay, I've done it. I do it all. Okay? So I'm telling you, when it comes to the chicken thing, you're going to pay more for the feed and all that in a peacetime, in a peaceful time. Let's just put it like that. In a stressful time, none of that matters. You don't need to feed them feed. They can run around. They can eat bugs. They can do whatever, right? That's just the nature of it. But that's where we're headed. That's what we're planning for. You're not going to be... Some of these luxuries are not going to be there. People need to understand that. And it's a different aspect. Living off-grid life is, depending on the situation and the setup, different farms are different and everything else, and different places are different. But no one's going to really want to live in an off-grid situation with the way I see it, with minimal things. When things are good, they'll want everything. Every day they want their internet. They want this. They want that. They want hot water, fresh water. Cheap food. They want all these things, right? Well, I don't know. Off grid is also more work than what I think people can handle. Like, just for somebody, most people are used to wherever you're at. You don't even think about in the winter heat. You take it for granted that you live in a place that's got power, and because you got power, the home's heated. You don't even worry about it. If you're off grid, you're chopping a mountain of wood to get through the winter. Are you ready to do that? Are you prepared to do that? Because most people talk a big game, but when it comes down to it, they're not. They ain't do it. They won't do it. They'll see real quick. And so I'm trying to tell people, like, you better just, you could sit there and do nothing and like soak up these last days of society that are great. This thing's going downhill at some point on Trump's watch. I can guarantee you that. And when it does and life starts to break down, the smartest thing to me was to build a system or a way to survive away from that. The best option would be off grid, but it's not the easiest lifestyle. Do you understand me? Some people just won't be able to cut it, literally. And everyone's different. Every setup's different. But you need to start with your neighbors and the people around you. Like, if I'm in a crazy situation, if you're up in the mountains and like you're in a small community of people and you've got like maybe 10 neighbors and this and that, hopefully they're all on the same wavelength as you of F the gov and the jab and all this other stuff. And if it breaks down, you can lean on one another. Crisis situations, you see who's really there or not. You need to know what those people are doing and what they got. They got goats, they got cows, they got milk, this and that. What do you bring to the table? What are they all missing that you can grow? Where they'll be like, oh, we need some of that. And they're willing to trade their eggs, their stuff for. What? Because that's how you got to start to think. I'd almost say money out the window. Like gold and silver you're going to barter for. But man, I've put so much time into this, thinking, living the lifestyle, being already put in crisis situations and everything else. And I'm going to tell you, like, in some of those situations, some people just aren't even going to care about gold and silver. They're just going to care about survival needs, okay? Because they're not going to venture out into society. They're not leaving the holler. They're not leaving the mountain anyway for that gold and that silver. They're all staying there, and the whole plan how is to survive, how their families lived forever off the land. Didn't eat in a store. Grandma, grandpa, and them didn't, you know what I'm saying? Everything was farmed, grown, like right here, or bartered or traded. It goes back to the same thing. It's not taking us back to the Stone Age, so to speak, but it's taking us back and it's degrading us down to like a third world country. That's what I feel can happen. That's what's going to happen to purebloods. You're going to be forced to make a decision when H5N1 gets dropped. Everybody is. You take the mark or you get cut off from society, literally. You won't be able to go nowhere. It'll be a gunpoint this time. This time, H5N1 is way more lethal. It's got like a 25% kill rate. Okay, this is all known at this point. That's why earlier when they were like, bird flu is trending. Like, watch out. Especially H5N1. If they come out saying it's mutated, it's jumping from people and all this other crap, that's the one you've got to watch for. And don't even hesitate. Like, soon as you hear them, soon as you hear the first lines of it, the first ramblings. I mean, for crying out loud, California went into a state of emergency months ago. They jumped the gun on H5N1. That's how serious it is, and they're still under it. So what does that tell you? It's going to go down at some point here. Again, Gates meeting with Trump. What did they talk about in that meeting? Trumpers? Where's any of the honest ones at? Let's talk about this. Huh? Advancing mRNA? That's what they talked about. Isn't it concerning that one of the most wanted men out here on the planet, so to speak, for his heinous, treasonous crimes, walked in and out of Mar-a-Lago with a smile on his face and never got arrested? And is out there dropping ominous signs that something is about to happen again? Also heard tonight, reports out that Bill Gates' daughter has released some information. She came out and she goes, Dad's got Asperger's syndrome or whatever, which is a function, well, it messes with your function of like being able to talk and express your feelings and emotions to people. And They say that if you look closely, you can see it in the way he always talks with his. He does the same thing all the time with his hands and all the stuff, and he's struggling to try to get it through. It's part of the Asperger's, but he goes through all this stuff. But none of these guys live forever. No one does, right? We just witnessed the Pope pass. We've witnessed others, tyrants, Rockefellers, and others pass. And some of these other goons are going to pass. No one lives forever. But they pass the torch on to their evil offspring, right? And that's we got to stop that cycle, man. Right? You thought it was bad with like Bill and Hillary. What happens when like you're stuck dealing with like Chelsea and like that whole generation? Like they're next up to bat. Like George Soros about to step out. His son, right there, is already stepping into the fray. Alex, like for the next decade on, you're going to have this new wave of faces, the next generation stepping in, replacing these old goons. Like literally here on the world stage. It's already happening right in front of our face. I mean, Soros is literally giving the reins to his son for almost everything at this point. And he's another one that you're going to see go. I'd say sooner than later is George Soros. Lord knows, much love, much respect, right back at you. Stable coins. Some people care less about them because they're like, can't invest in them, can't make no money in them. Really, like, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is that they're pegging the US dollar to it. And they're looking for ways to try to keep the dollar fluid and active and used around the world. And this, no doubt, is part of the process. So they're going to have approximately $2 trillion backed into these stable coins from all over the place. Like everyone's making their own stable coin out there to be able to facilitate transactions. Versus you just sitting in like Bitcoin. What this means, for instance, is like for years and years and years. All right, look at it like this. If you're in the stock market and you're trading stocks, what have you always done? You sell it into cash, right? Now imagine this. Imagine you were in the stock market and you wanted to sell, but the only thing that you could sell into was another stock. That'd be some effery. That'd be messed up right there. Right? Like, when you got a Tesla, but you had to jump into Microsoft. And to sell it and jump right immediately. You had to like trade like one for the other. You couldn't jump into a dollar. Right? I mean, of course you could, but imagine how messed up that would be. Imagine if the whole market came down. People would be trying to jump into one certain stock while everything else is coming down. Well, that is exactly what crypto was like. For years in the beginning, there were no USDTs, there were no tethers, there were no coins like that. It was Bitcoin and some of the other alts, and if you were trading and the market started to come down, you had to dive into another project. You don't have to do that now. Now you can just sell right into USDT or a stable coin. So that's what it is, if people wonder. Just trying to keep you educated on what this is out here. Now, remember, people get freaked out. There's another educating thing here that you've got to keep in mind here. People hear certain things and they get spooked, but you need to have education, okay? And I've tried so hard to get this through to people, and you need to see clearly. I've been saying the bad side since 2017, but people need to see that the technologies connected to this are no different than a gun. And that's the real deal. What I mean by that is, if the bad guys show up with guns, well, it's not good. If the good guys have guns, we know that it is good. Okay? Or you can be one of them people that sits on the sidelines and says the guns are bad. Right? And attacks the gun when the gun never does nothing wrong. It's the person that does good or bad with it. It's the same thing with blockchain technology. Same exact thing. Businesses can use this in great ways. They can save money. They can store information. They can do a bunch of great things with it when good people use it. Problem is, we have bad people in control. So you should expect them to do bad things with blockchain. That has been the warning since Jump Street. Okay? And since nobody wants to remove the bad people or do anything about it, that's the situation that you're stuck in. Okay? Now, good people can come along with a righteous project, like us with Under Project, push it out there that's on a blockchain, right? But I'm not tracking you. I'm not tracing you. I'm not selling your information. I'm not cutting you off. I'm not doing any of that garbage. Our stuff is more like a stock, just a straight investment with incentive. And that's how it should be. Okay? And none of these other things should come along with it. You shouldn't get cut off, penalized, tracked and traced, and all that sold and manipulated. Like, that's what the government's going to do with it. Righteous people aren't going to do that, are not doing that, are not participating in doing those types of things. Okay? Same thing with a laser, that can burn through something. Again, good people can use it for good things, to make things. Bad people can use it as a weapon to kill you. So people need to get that clear and straight instead of just hearing something and being scared, because this is what almost the whole freaking crowd that voted for Trump did. They didn't take the 10 seconds to put any education or common sense on it. What they let him do was turn and say, oh, executive order on the CBDC. And he threw it out there like a bone to a dog for them to chew on. And like they did. They took it, they chewed on it, they didn't say another word. With the other hand, he came at them with the Trump coin, World coin, the blockchain. They didn't flinch. Why did you not like the CBDC? Huh? It should have been because bad people can control it and track you and trace you and everything that it told you. Right? He turns around and gives you the blockchain with the other hand. And they just took it. Again, where are you at, Trumpers, on this? Let's talk about it. You won't. You won't. You don't have a leg to stand on. Mr. Warp Speed. I go on and on and on. That's why, because you... And look, I'll take it easy on you. I won't blow you out the water too bad. All we're talking about is truths here. And I ain't trying to attack. I'm just trying to get you to admit the truth. Very simple. It's just that simple. Okay? This is a huge problem. People are afraid to say anything against Trump at this point because they're afraid that the base, the Trumpers, are going to turn on them. Or I'm going to tell you, at some point here, you're about to see some huge fracturing, and this whole thing's going to come off the rails at some point here, because people are not going to tolerate it at a certain point. We're even seeing people that voted for him come out and say that they're crushed already. Their businesses are crushed in different industries. And they're just like hanging their head and like, done. Like, what the? Like, we can't go down the tubes like this, man. Anyway, I want people to realize that, because where we're going is just there. What's this very next move here? What's the next one say? Banks can be extinct in 10 years. This is Eric Trump saying this. Same Eric Trump that came out and said that U.S. projects will be tax-free, so we'll be the crypto capital of the world and all this. Same Eric Trump, I think he just dropped his own coin here recently. Eric Trump coin, so it's just not the Trump coin. They did a Trump, they did a Melania, Barron knockoff, Eric Trump knockoff, all these things. But you got to watch what they say sometimes. Yes, Elon's evil, we know it, and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Elon says very interesting things sometimes that just, he says it arrogantly. That it just comes out of him. He not paying attention, and he gives away certain things, like they're trying to summons the demon and all this other stuff. Eric's the same way. A lot of them are. Just, there's certain stuff that isn't to be hidden. It's to be shown out in the open. What he's doing is he's telegraphing to you that banks are going to disappear. Okay? He's saying 10 years. I'm going to tell you 5. I'm going to tell you in shorter time than that. I'm going to tell you it's going to happen because of him. Him and his father and his whole administration. They're going to help usher it in. Because what happens in the United States goes global. And it's going to happen within 5 years. It's going to happen within 4 years. Okay? It's going to happen before 2030. Okay? They will definitely, in my opinion, set the framework for all this. And they may just set it all up for the next person that comes in when Trump's out the door, whether it's J.D. Vance, whoever. They come in and they hammer it down. What this means, and I've said this before, you guys that have been around, you've heard me say it, your traditional bank is going to go bye-bye. Okay? Your bank that you're used to going and getting your money out of, it's not going to be here no more. It's not going to exist for many different reasons. The days of robbing banks will no longer exist. Those days will literally be looked at like the Wild West. We're still in them. We haven't crossed the Rubicon yet in this manner. We're about to. We are about to. Okay? Pray for peace. Thank you for the support, man. And may the Lord be magnified for sure. And God bless. Thank you so much. And Enigma, thank you for the coffees as well. Love you, much love. We keep on fighting. So and Tooch, much love. Good to see you, brother. I hope you made it to your. Hope everything is going good. Put it that way. Susie Q, good to see you. You and Joe. Tell Joe to call me if he needs me, man. He was asking questions. I tried to send enough information back to him to get him squared away, but you can always pick up the phone, hit me up, or just message me. I think the traditional bank vanishes very soon. Again, you're living in the final days, man. Like, they're doing away with the penny. Then just fast forward a few years from now, even before Trump's out the door. They will have quit making pennies, probably nickels by that point too, because it's next on the list. AI will be so much more advanced in this. The only thing that they're missing is an event to get the whole crowd over onto the digital dollar. How do they do this? They have to hold your money hostage where you can't get it for it to work, right? Where's all your money at? It's in the bank. So they're going to hold the bank hostage with all your dollars in it, okay? The quick, easy answer is going to be to download a wallet, and you got your money. That's it. People are not even going to see that anything happened. This is the scary part. Most people out there, especially the blinded base, they're not going to bat an eye. They're going to be like, all I have to do, you can be like, hey, go download this app. I got my money right now. I'm spending them at the store. I just got it. Yeah, just download this app. It's going to spread like wildfire. Everybody that couldn't get money out, all of a sudden, everybody's going to get it because all they had to do was download this. They didn't have to download really much of anything. Every bank, through the Federal Reserve, through their mandates, has been told to make a digital wallet for every account that exists in America. This is on the books. This has been on the books for years. Okay? Understand this. Your account has a digital version, a wallet made for it already. It's mandated in the law. It's been this way for a minute. So all they need is an event. All they need is an event to hold your money hostage. The wallet is already there. All they're going to say is download this app and your money's there. It's going to be so easy that it's not going to cause... Look, the whole point is to get the whole flock into the cage, into this area, and slam the door behind them. They've got everybody like moving in that direction, okay? Now they need an event. They need an event, like 2 herd dogs, to get out there behind the whole pack and get them wrangled into this one spot, okay? That's what they're looking for. That's what they're missing. I can't stress it enough. A huge event's about to happen. Look, I just dropped a video about how Citibank had issues this past week. They won't admit what happened. Error messages were flying. People could not access their bank cards or their bank accounts, their saving accounts. The cards weren't working. They couldn't get cash out. Everything that you can imagine, right? Today, we hear the TD Bank and other wire transfers were getting shut down. And this was across multiple banks, large banks. Zelle was down. Right? Do you see? Like, this is like doing a couple quick little beta tests, flipping some switches here before some stuff goes down. All of a sudden, multiple sectors are getting hit, and it's happening lightly. Okay? It's making the news, but it's not like overtaking the headlines. It's not the event. Like, I'm telling you, we're just a day away from where all these things happen at the same time. It's going to happen, man. It's like a give in. It's going to happen. This is the transfer over to the digital setup. Okay? And how they're going to present it at first is that they're not going to take away your money, obviously. They're going to keep money in circulation for a bit. After this event, they're going to keep it. But once they pull this event off, everyone's going to have this digital version of the money. And they're going to have a strong push here to do away with the dollar. Look what they've done with Doge. It's too expensive. Like, we're paying this amount and it costs us this much. Like, what happens when they come out and they're like, man, it costs $20 to make $1? What happens when they do that? That's all he's got to do. That's all he has got to do at this point is say that. And, like, no one's going to question him. No one's going to say anything. No one does anything. This is unprecedented power. So banks in the next 10 years will be gone. You're living in a crazy time. Your kids' and all that coming up, your grandchildren, all that, they will not live in the same world. See? Just some of the things that we took for granted in life just are not going to be there. They're not going to be there anymore. That's an ominous thing. No people at the bank working anymore. There's no money there. There's no vault. There's no nothing. You can't go rob the place. You can't go there and get your money out. There's just going to be no money to get. There's going to be no sense of going to an ATM because there's not going to be any. There's not going to be any money to get. It's just going to be all digital. That's the world they want. That's the CBDC world, where they track and trace everything. That's, even when they roll all this out, that's down the road some. Okay? Pure bloods, man, for life. Much love, NC. Thank you, David. Thank you for the coffees. We're in a transition phase, man. I can't stress it enough. I really wonder, it all comes back to, is there gold in Fort Knox right now for me? I think that plays big. I don't know how they're going to play that card, but boy, it benefits them if it's not there. If they say it's not there, it just benefits them big time. To go after our gold, they never miss an opportunity, man. Okay. Shifting gears. This Tesla takedown is like the new BLM, if you don't know. Where they're hitting up cities, they're having these protests, they're torching, they're keying all these Teslas. And it continues. They're putting some big sentences behind these people. I think I could take damn money since this man 20 years. On the neck, we just since 20 years. I'm like, okay, I'll still join the government. Crickets. Just like a house, like, shut up. Piece of dog water. My daughter would say. I don't trust none of them. I don't trust Bondi. I don't trust none of them. I do not trust the government. I don't trust the feds. I don't trust none of it. You can fall for the charade. I'm not. It's all smoke and mirrors. Some of us have had this figured out for some time. And it's been quite a thing to try to rifle through all these Trumpers that are waking up, to it. Like, because when you wake up, it's people get pissed. They're not happy. They're not happy that everything that they believe in, they vote on was a lie. Well, at some point, you got to admit it. And once you admit it, you get over the hump and you can push on. You just gotta face that fire. And look, we all know the trick was to choose Trump over Biden. We all know that. Accept it. Okay, we know that. Okay, but now that's in the rear view. You gotta hold Trump accountable. He's the man in the seat. He's the one making the decisions. You gotta hold him accountable. You can't sit there and not say nothing. Okay, I can't stand it again when I roll over to social media and I see some of these people pandering to Trump every day. On the stuff. How to lie. All right, we're 5x5 now. All right. Well, thank you for the feedback. It's 10-10. I looked down and Steve said 8-10, 5x5. Thank you. Thank you, Raymond, everybody. I got an updated report now, some breaking news. I know it's not all Trumpers. It's not all Trumpers. It's not everybody. I know some get it. Some are waking up to it. I get that. And I fight to get the knowledge to those people, to wake them up. But some are dead asleep sheep. There's no way around that. You're not going to reach them all. Yeah. It's at least something. At least it hasn't been anything like that. And I don't know. I'm here, right? 5x5, right at 11. I'm coming across 12 now. It's just literally just over to it. Just at the second where I said it. So if you guys are trying to see how far the chat is, we had 3 Virginia of criminals stabbed today. This was 13 members in prison, premeditated stabbing of multiple officers. And they were trying to break out. Obviously, they're trying to kill them. Take them hostage and to get out of there somehow, some way. They weren't able to do it. We've got these guys sitting in jails all across the country, and Democratic mayors and governors won't cough them up, which is stupid. They should be sending them on a flight out of here ASAP. If somebody's willing to come and get them out of here, do it. Wait here and see. Check one time here on. Make sure I got 5x5s. No audio. Muted. I don't know. All I can do is just sit here and see if I got 5x5s or everything coming in. I've done everything on my end, and I have very few things open. Like everything's running good again on my end. I don't get what it can be. 5x5 again for now. All right. Well. All right, got Etch. Thank you, Raymond. Good now. Thank you, E-Phase. Barbie, Wild, everybody. Update on Virginia Guffrey. Here, real quick, if you guys missed it, her dad saying that the whole thing is fishy and that he thinks someone got to her. He thinks someone got to her and took her out, just like Epstein, which isn't surprising. All these people keep coming out and saying, look, I'm fine, I'm not suicidal and all that. It's for a reason. O'Keefe just came out and said that. It's because the machine here, the beast, will take people out left and right. And I was just checking the chat here again. I get 5x5s again, and then it's like a couple people say there's an issue. Trying to push through it here. And just waiting to get a couple more 5x5s. Good there, good there. I'm waiting to see like a handful of good reports coming back here. You know, if somebody suspected of being a bot, let me know. So like when a chat slows down to like nothing, I'm like, So, as soon as I get some 5x5s, I will continue here with this whole thing on the Pope. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Hoodie. E-Phase, okay. Apparently Macron is trying to meddle in the whole phase. They think that a conservative is going to win this or something, or get put into position. I don't think so. I think, and thank you for the feedback, everyone. I think that it's going to come down to who I showed you, Peter the Roman. He is the high pick in my book. Parolin, Petro Parolin of Italy, of Rome. And apparently Macron is meddling in all this, and it's caught a bunch of people's attention. It's even caught Meloni's attention out of Italy and others that say that he should just mind his business and stay out of this whole thing. But look, this is about to go down like this week coming up. And we're going to have this next pope, called final pope, if you will. Whatever, however someone wants to label it. If you missed it, I think it's important that people realize what happened with St. Malachi's prophecy. Okay? Because some people will show my fear on X, and St. Malachi's prophecy says, that says, well, you can't continue to regurgitate old information. We have updated information that I've been trying to educate people on in terms of the prophecy. And it's all about an interpretation. For years, they're saying it was read wrong. And they're admitting this. They're saying that they took a small sentence and added it into Peter the Roman paragraph because his paragraph was so large. And all of them were rather little paragraphs. This one pertaining to Francis was literally a sentence. And it talked about the one that comes between Olive and Peter the Roman, specifically Francis. And when you separate it out, it comes perfectly between the passage on the Olive and where the paragraph of Peter the Roman begins. And when you put it in its right place, it clearly defines and shows it speaks of this, but for only a short sentence, Francis. And it leads to the final thing about the whole thing of Peter the Roman, which, again, there's one circle left up there on the wall. There's no argument about that. People they try to make whatever excuse they can because they don't put everything they had into Francis being Peter the Roman. Well, it's just not the case. They were wrong and they're afraid to admit it, and they're afraid to look. When new information comes to light, there's nothing wrong with saying, look, they had it wrong. It's updated. It's just that simple. And this makes more sense now. It's clear. It makes clear sense when you read it. I've done videos on this and prophecy of the popes and everything else. Like, so it falls out again. This is getting ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. When I see a 0x5, I've got to stop until I get 5x5s. No, I can't. I'm like, yeah, everyone keeps saying YouTube's absolutely screwing with this. It's just crazy because like every single thing that I got runs fine, is flowing fine. Like all the things are open fine. The chat's moving fine. I can refresh fresh pages. They refresh quick and fine. Nothing's hanging up. Nothing's all of my numbers, all the everything in the OBS is showing fine. Like everything on my end. I've even repositioned everything that I've got here tonight where I'm closer to my router and everything else in case that was the problem. And stuff was breaking up there where I got it up to where the computer can't be overheating. I had minimal links open here tonight on my end. I did absolutely everything on my end. Thank you for all the 5x5 feedbacks. I don't know what it is, but it does seem like every time I hit on something hard, it happens. But this isn't new. Okay? This isn't new. Anyone that's been around for a long time knows that whenever in the past I've hit on hard subjects, this is exactly what happens. And this is long before I was on Starlink or anything else. I was on hardline, fiber optic connections before, and all this stuff, and the same thing happened. Okay, on a different computer, different setup, all that, and the same thing happened. So, you know, you add AI into the mix this time. At this point, it's scary. Like, you know, the topics and everything I talk about anyway, they hate. I'm gonna try to keep it pushing here and get an update here on Ukraine. There's a deal for minerals that's been worked out, but not a peace plan, which is interesting in itself. The United States got their deal in writing from Ukraine. It's like in writing, but there's nothing here in terms of peace. So, you know, at this point, I don't know where it's going to go. It seems like the United States is going to walk away. When you look at the other players involved here, like the EU, they're saying that they're not going to recognize Crimea ever being Russian. So they're never going to let this thing go away. They're never going to let this rest. They don't mention the other areas. More than you know. All of you for it. Appreciate more you know. So I've put up videos in the past. Talk about Crimea. I think Crimea has something there. There's something that they want. I think Russia's going to Western Republic's there after they discovered it. And I'm not sure what it entails. What we know is that there are pyramid structures. It could be the oldest on the planet. They're literally underground. They're under earth. And there's a line of them. Now, there's also some other objects. I think there's around 14 total. They found under the ground in Crimea. Thank you, Joshua. There's something there. And they've shown us shafts and tunnels and everything else to go down into this. But Western archaeology can't get in there. You see, they won't let them. They won't let them. Because Russia's got guys. And if they can't get in there, well, for one, they can't put a confirmation. I can tell you anything. They won in their bad, just like they won in Iraq. They went into Iraq, and shortly after they went into Iraq, we have reports that they had found the body of Gilgamesh. And then it disappeared. And these are the things they're after. Why? Why would that count? Because those people were not humans, as you know, like us. Gilgamesh and all those people were not like us. Again, it's something that I feel the Swan demands skip. They told you this in your good Bible. Let's put them together. They told you that after the flood, lived to be 120 years. Things changed. We're something different. What creation was before us, knowing they were hundreds of years. Their anatomy was different. You see, they were something different. They were larger. They were different. They were hundreds of years. They were different. Human species. They were different. They were designed different. They lived longer. Intriguing. I'd like to find one body. They did. It's a secret always. So, they don't want me talking about this era. That's getting ridiculous, man. Granted, says 5x5. Like, as soon as I see something like that, it says 5x5. Then I get scrambled eggs. This is ridiculous, man. Stop restarting at this point is going to help. It doesn't ever. This is something I've done all of everything that I did before we even went live. All right, and everything is running good on my end. It's obviously, um, so you say the ads work fine. He's spinning. So definitely, all he tries to makes no sense. There, there's like nothing that I can do. Nothing that I can do. At this point, I don't even know what to do. It's like, if you can't hear me, why should I continue? How could I have been fine the whole stream and now all of a sudden you can't hear me? It makes no sense. Like nobody else has to deal with this. Like no one. Like nobody. Like no other streamer that I know of it deals with this. They go live. They don't have to deal with this. Here I am. I don't even know if you guys can hear me. Oh, that was clear, Mark. Good now. Good now. Like nothing changes on my end absolutely at all. Like it's not like my computer's glitching or anything. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Just don't get it. Again, nobody that I know, not a single streamer, anyone deals with anything like this ever. It's crazy because even when I was in the hotel, it was happening. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. This is like another level though. Like if I, you would think that I was talking about like adrenochrome and like dark, deep occult stuff here for them to like be attacking me right now, but pisses me off that okay, so got a lot of 5 5s. I'm trying to keep on pushing here. As soon as that ace in your face is breaking up, the answer is 5 by 5. Ah, yeah, I do at this point. I ain't nothing gone now. Then I get a 5x5. Literally, as soon as I said it, me says 5x5. Ah. Hmm. Silence now. Nothing. Like, what the? I don't know. I don't have an answer. And it's like, if you guys can't hear me, I've got 4 tabs open. I have like nothing running on my computer except for the OBS, and like everything's flowing smooth. I have no idea what's going on here. I get 0 by 0, 0 by 0, and then a 5x5, 5x5. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Lakeville, if you can even hear me. Yeah, so, well, is it back? Is it not? Because I'm about to just shut it down. That's where I'm about at. Deanne, thank you. I've just shut down all the links, everything on my. I have like nothing. I've got nothing going on my end except for the chat. Make a short video of what? So I'm getting 5x5s. Ideas are dangerous. Sounds good now. Granite, etch, in and out. 5x5s. Perfect sound, Christine says. The very next message says in and out. Then a bunch of 5x5s. So all I can really do at this point is just roll with the majority, huh? If I see a bunch of 5x5s, I guess I'll hit these stories without just won't have a link up on the screen. I got stuff written down here though, but you're back up and running. 5x5s. It's back. All right. So that's a good sign. It's back. Thank you, Adam. All right. So where I was at on this whole thing was Crimea. Okay. I'm just gonna give it a second. We'll make sure you guys can hear that. 5x5 until I'm not. I literally have nothing on my end going. So there's like it's been in and out. It's 5x5 now. To Catalet, thank you. And thank you for the prayers. I appreciate that. Handy, 1111, thank you for the hang tough. Thank you, man. It is tough. It's frustrating, yeah. If I get a window here where I'm 5x5, I'm gonna keep on going. So, all right, the whole Crimea thing. All right, everything's looking good. Crimea is where I'm gonna pick back up on. What I was saying there is like the EU doesn't want to let this thing go. And there seems to be something ancient there. What I was saying is that, like, Iraq, they went in and they found Gilgamesh's body, and that disappeared. They seem to be on the hunt for ancient technologies, and that's no different when it comes to Iran, which has ancient stuff in it. And the same thing could be said for a lot of these places that has war going on. Crimea, definitely. I put out videos many times talking about what I believe to be the reason for war, pertaining to Crimea. And it's because there's ancient pyramids there. There's ancient structures underneath the earth that could be some of the oldest on the planet. Now, the West can't get in there to confirm it because Russia has control of the whole place. And they hate that. They're not mentioning Kursk. They're not mentioning Donetsk. They're not mentioning the whole eastern flank of Ukraine. They don't care about it. All they say is they can't have Ukraine, or they can't have Crimea. That Crimea doesn't belong to Russia. It was Russia that gave Crimea to Ukraine. To them. When they were on peaceful terms, back when it was the USSR. Now, they're in this situation because the Obama administration went in there with Maidan and overthrew the elected government, stole all the gold out of Ukraine, put in a fake elected government, and that's what we're dealing with all the way up to today. So, Trump and them basically accepted the fact that Russia's not giving up Crimea. They're like, okay, the heck with it. Like, we're not going to stay, bent on Crimea. So, we'll see where this whole thing goes. I feel like something's got to give here. The European Union is talking about tapping into Russia's money in their banks, basically stealing it. That's not going to go well. The United States did the same thing, and I would think that somewhere in this negotiation, they're going to have to work out that they got to pay that back or give Russia back their money. If the EU tries to do the same thing, it's just not going to be good. I don't see peace coming from the situation anytime soon, especially if they're talking about openly stealing Russia's money. And I tell you all the time, the world's a stage, right? When it comes to the winter, the EU is going to expect all this natural gas from Russia. This makes no sense. Ready to go to someone. Why would you tell them anything like that? So, yeah, that's where I see that. An update on Pakistan, India, and China. This isn't going to go down good. We're on the verge of total war breaking out here between two nuclear powers, between India and Pakistan, and China's caught in the middle. So, who is China going to side with? It's a tough one. Who's the United States going to side with? Some of these wars may play out, and they may not have distinguished allies, like if India and Pakistan go at it, because the United States has got heavy interests in Pakistan, and they're trying to build huge interest with India as we speak. China's kind of the same way. China's in the same boat. So, when it comes to big world war, to see how things shake up between India and Pakistan, I'd watch that area because it just seems like an area that a nuke could fly in any time. So, now, are you guys still with me? E-Phase, I appreciate you constantly sending the 5x5. You say that, and Adrian constantly says they are silencing him. So it's like, who's hearing what is what I'm thinking. Etch says 5x5. Yeah. Look, I'm gonna do a whole restructuring of everything around with everything on my end between now and the next stream. To virtually eliminate anything on my end that could be causing this. That's my main concern right now. I got to be honest with you, because pretty much gonna look to bring the stream to a close here because I don't think that everyone can even hear me. Every time I look up, I hear something else. So I see somebody saying something else. So I'm not gonna try to continue a stream here that's all chopped up and messed up. Again, I'm gonna reset up all my stuff here on my end. That way, I can rule out this or that or whatever for these streams. But I do want to potentially try something here real quick. Bear with me. I'm gonna try something here. Just trying something on my end. Just testing, just trying to run a test here before I shut everything down to see if a certain something here works. If it's that on my end, I can only do it if I'm live here. It only makes sense. So bear with me. Trying to check. All right, mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check 1 2. I'm waiting to see if I can hold down a solid stream without any glitch in here. So mic check. I'm boy saying it's not on my end. Testing good for now. 5x5s, 5x5s. 100 right now. It's not good. It's not on my end. It's not you. It's them. Keep a second here. That's what's messed up. 5x5s, 5x5s. It's not good now. Maybe you get 5x4 here. It's mic check good. There's nothing more frustrating than as soon as I start talking, people say scramble. I'm on a 5x5 right now. Then it buffers white wheel. 5x5 and a buffer white wheel. It's not clear until you start telling me it's loudly 5x5. I'm just giving it a second here. Basically, I've got to try to run this test right here while I'm live. It's better now. How else am I going to know? I definitely don't want to go back in having these issues. I'm sick of it. I got all 5x5, so you just choppy. See, that's what I'm like. Adam D says choppy. Dropping out. This makes sense, man. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Glitching again. That's not. Some of these things, remember a couple things. Now it's chopped. This is ridiculous. Glitchy alien station. 420. Apparently, from the chat at this point, this is all I'm just doing testing, trying to keep this thing going. Talking and fast forward. Sounds like a loose wire. Choppy. Nothing silent choppy. No sound. I ain't even got nothing. Nobody's not by 5. It's crazy ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Does it work ever? I didn't know you got one on. Just buffering. I don't know anything. So, I'm gonna try one more thing here real quick. And I don't think that that's working. I don't think there's no here. Yeah, it's just not working, man. Mic check 1 2. Mic check. Mic check. All right, so I guess that's it. I'm gonna shut down. You guys can hear me. I'll be back on down. That's all I do. This situation in the meantime. So shut down. See you guys in the next one.